Today I'd like to discuss redemption arcs. It's a common theme in games, in movies, in books, in every type of art that we consume, and it's also, I think, a common theme in our lives. We'll see somebody who goes through a great redemption arc. We'll root for somebody to turn around the corner, to hit rock bottom and come all the way back up. And we'll think about it for ourselves. We'll go, when will I turn this around? When will I get to the thing that I'm shooting for? How can I get there? Maybe not even full redemption, but some kind of a pivot, some kind of a change, some kind of a revelation that moves us forward. Right now, I'm having fun imagining that I've just completed kind of a major redemption arc. I'm enjoying a feeling right now that I have turned the corner, and I'm telling myself that sort of a story, this sort of a we've come through it and we're on the other side story. So it's the perfect time to talk about redemption arcs. Somewhat ironically, I'm not going to focus on redemption arcs from specific games for this episode. One, because I don't want to spoil anything, and you guys are probably more upset about spoilers in games than you are in other forms of media, being that this is a games-related podcast. And two, I don't have that many amazing examples. Now, I do have a really good example from a TV show, specifically Avatar: The Last Airbender. But first, I just want to cover the general idea of a redemption arc. I like a fully fledged redemption arc, right? I like for it to go from one place and go through a whole journey and end up in another place, and you can see it gradually evolving over time. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, it's fine. It's just a different angle on redemption. There are a lot of moments that I can think of in games where it's not really a whole story arc. There's just a moment where you go, oh, now the bad guy is going to do something good. Like right at the end, the bad guy has a sudden realization, and when push comes to shove, they do the good thing, they save everybody, and suddenly they do something heroic. Happens in movies, happens in shows, happens in games. I think it takes a little bit less planning, a little bit less careful thought, and less character development, and I'm a sucker for character development. I love a good story about a character. That's what really drives me, is seeing what is going on in a person's mind, how they are changing. I want to see the depths of their character, and I want to see their internal struggles, and something about just that hard pivot right at the end doesn't quite do it for me. I get it, but it feels a little bit canned. It doesn't hit the same way. Now, let's talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender. The mildest of spoilers for this show. You probably already know everything that I'm going to allude to. I'm not going to give specific plot points. I'm just going to talk about general character arcs. Zuko, the villain of Season 1 of Avatar: The Last Airbender, the guy who is trying to hunt the Avatar and is clearly a bad guy and is single-mindedly focused on this one goal of hunting the Avatar so he can redeem himself, becomes one of the most relatable characters of all media for me. By the end of that series, Zuko goes from this guy who is just chasing his own redemption thing, and that's what's interesting to me too, is he is chasing redemption. And it turns out that the way that he gets redeemed is by no longer chasing that redemption. He goes down a whole different route with it. Zuko is a perfect example of a character evolving over time and becoming more relatable and becoming more understandable and going from villain to guy you are rooting for, even though he has made so many mistakes and has been such a problem. His relationship with Uncle Iroh throughout the show is incredible. Everything about him and his character development is deeply powerful and is the kind of story about redemption and about growing and about discovering yourself that I want to see in media as often as possible. I mean, I don't want it to be done to death, but I don't think people are capable of telling that story that well that often. It's not like it's a one-trick pony kind of thing. Like, you can't just do that. You know, your average writer can't just put in, oh, there's the redemption arc that Zuko had. No, you got to like really, really put in the work. There's no risk of too many people doing it because it takes so much effort and so much understanding and preparation and so on. At least I think so. You know, maybe I'll eat my words one day. That could happen. It is easy to connect with. And I want you to think about this. Maybe it's not Avatar: The Last Airbender. Maybe there's some other show or movie or game that you've experienced where you really connect with a character's growth, where you see them become something different and it just hits different for you. For me, Zuko hits hard. He's this angry character. He's chasing this specific thing that he wants more than anything and willing to give up everything just to get that one thing because he feels that it will make him complete. And I look at that and I can relate to it. It is a powerful character structure for me. And that journey that he goes through is something that teaches me. And this is one of the beautiful things about a good story, right? You can learn a little bit and you can understand yourself a little bit better. Is there a character that does that for you? Is there a game? Is there a movie? Is there a book that has a really relatable arc where somebody goes from point A to point B in a way that is a little bit unexpected, but kind of just makes sense by the time you get to the end of it? You go, oh, that was the answer all along. And I recognize that this is getting a little convoluted, so let me clarify a little bit. When I'm talking about a redemption arc, I'm not just talking about bad guy becomes good guy. I am talking about person who is out of alignment with who they truly are. Person who is confused but thinks that they are completely right. Somebody who believes that they fully understand the way that the world works and that they are being righteous and that they are correct and that they are doing things well and wonderfully and helping and that everybody else is wrong and they are just in the right and it's just not working for them. And then they go through this whole story and then they find out some major shift in their worldview. They have this whole process and they reach a point where they genuinely discover that they were wrong about something very important and very fundamental. And this is the thing about a redemption arc to me. It is about recognizing fundamental flaws in your own perspective. It is about seeing the depths of how wrong you were. It is about seeing how different everything could be if only you shift your perspective a little bit. And this is one of the reasons why I will always stand by the importance of art, of games, of music, of every single medium of art. They have a way of communicating with people that, hey, maybe there's something going on here. They have a way of just going, oh, by the way, this is your perspective. This is my perspective. Because you look at something, you understand it, you discuss it with somebody else, they understand it completely differently, and you go, oh, wait, we just view things so differently. That's interesting. I wonder if I can shift towards them, if they can shift towards me. How do we even view things so differently? Wow. I've got to really understand that. Right? And then you can start to really open your mind to different perspectives. You can live in somebody else's perspective for a little while. And I recognize, once again, that I'm getting off on a tangent here, but it is powerful. And the redemption story is especially powerful in that way because you can watch a character go through this shift, right? And that is a hard thing to go through and is a hard thing to communicate. And it is so powerful when you can really make somebody feel the deep depths of change that can occur in another person. There are people who argue that people can't change. I want you to really think about that. There's this argument that people never change. I don't buy into that. And I think that through experiencing somebody's deep change in a story, you can recognize your own ability to change. You can recognize other people's ability to change. People think you can't change because it's hard. It is insanely difficult to make real, substantial changes to core parts of yourself. And that's why those stories are so fascinating, because I think everybody's wanted to change something. And sometimes it's a nonsense thing. Sometimes it's, oh, I wish I was more like this, that, the other. And it's just some vain thing. But sometimes it's a recognition that you are out of alignment with the way that you really are. You have some habit that's getting in the way. You have some worldview that's getting in the way of letting you connect to what it is that you're really trying to connect to. And I apologize for that sounding fluffy. I'm sorry that that sounds weird and floaty and kind of new agey. But I think that this is one of those situations where words fail me just a little bit. There is a sense of, let me make this as straightforward and grounded as I possibly can. I don't want it to be some weird hippie nonsense. I don't want it to be some weird floaty thing. There's a sense of fooling yourself into believing that things are a certain way and that you are a certain way, and that that is how the world has to be and how you have to be, and this is just what it is. And then there's a recognition that can happen where you go, oh, maybe that's not true. And maybe I can embrace this element of myself that I did not even recognize clearly because I was so busy focusing on making sure that I was doing everything the way it was supposed to be, or chasing this goal so aggressively that I ended up out of alignment with who I really am. Here's what I'm getting at. Here it is. I've got it. This idea that I will sacrifice anything to reach this goal. It's a theme in Avatar: The Last Airbender with Zuko's story arc. I will sacrifice anything to reach this goal so that I can be redeemed. That makes you ignore the reality of your situation and what everything actually is and how you actually are, and it prevents you from adapting to your situation and acknowledging the truth of everything around you, and then working with that and becoming whatever it is that you actually need to be. And I'm going to leave that there, because otherwise I'm just going to keep going down this weird, floaty rabbit hole. Let's talk about game development. The project that I'm working on right now has gotten strange for me. I have had trouble working on it, not just because of time restraints, although that has been a significant limiter in my life. I've been running into it a little bit. But it's not just that. I could find a little bit of time here and there if I really, really wanted to, and I haven't been doing that, which means that something is wrong, because I love game development and I enjoy doing it and I want to be doing it, but for some reason I'm getting a little stuck on this project, and I dug in on it again today. One reason was that I wasn't doing my gym routine, and I've talked about this I think once before on the podcast, but when I don't go to the gym regularly, I don't do any game development. I know that seems odd. I know that doesn't maybe make sense to people, but if I'm not going to the gym, I'm not developing video games. It falls apart. I have to be going to the gym. I don't know exactly why. You would think it would take a lot of energy out of me, and it does. It makes me nap more too. But somehow it makes me do game development. So I started going to the gym again, and then I sat down to work on the game. I opened up code, started taking a little peek at it, and immediately I went, oh no, buddy, I'm overwhelmed. This is a mess. I just had this whole thing where I was going to redesign some stuff, and now I'm looking at it, and I'm going, I don't know how to trace this back. I don't know how to get rid of this element. I don't even know what the full vision of this game is anymore. And I started thinking about the gameplay and all these things, and the game isn't quite right. And I think that my vision of the game is out of alignment. I think it's time for a redemption arc. I think it is time for me to look at this game and go, I'm obsessed with making this a fishing game. I've been going, I will do whatever I can to make this a fishing game. This is a fishing game about dating. It has to be a fishing game about dating, blah, 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 blah. I'm obsessed with that. I keep forcing it. I keep going, this is it, this is it, this is it. Maybe this isn't it, you know? Maybe what it is a fishing-themed dating game. Maybe what it is something else entirely. I need to explore what it is that this game wants to be and what I want to make it, because I don't think that this single thought that I've had, that I've been locked in on, is the best way to proceed. I don't think that I need to just go, it's a fishing dating game, it's a fishing dating game, it's a fishing dating game. I think I need to look at it and really let it bloom, let it grow, follow it, see what it wants to become. And now I'm having trouble doing that. That's what I spent my day doing. I was trying to figure it out. I was discussing it with people, because I think by talking, if you haven't picked up on that by listening to this podcast, it is a very useful tool for me. It is half of the reason why I do this podcast. It helps me understand my own opinion. This is a very improvisational podcast. I am figuring it out as I speak a lot of the time, most of the time. So this whole thing with this project, this whole thing where its identity is mixed up. I want it to be a parody of dating apps. I also want it to make fun of certain communities. I want it to make fun of people. I want it to poke fun at dating in general. But I'm like, what is the most important thing for this game? And do I want to solidify that? That's an important question, actually. Do I want to have a very solid, clear idea in my head of this game has this purpose? I don't think I'm ready for that. I don't think that is right yet, because I don't think I've found the purpose. I think right now would be forcing the purpose upon the game. It is making it become something before it knows what it wants to become, right? It's you know that feeling of okay, here's a good way to put it. If you're playing Super Smash Bros. And you open it up for the very first time and you pick a character and then you go, that's the character, that's the only character that I will ever play for the entirety of me playing Super Smash Bros. Forever. This is my character. It could work, but maybe that character just really doesn't play the way you want to play. Maybe you're fighting against the way the character plays. You want to go fast. You want to hit things rapidly. And you picked, I don't know, DK. You picked somebody with heavy, slow hits. And then you're locked into it and you're not willing to explore. I don't want to lock this game into being DK if I want to play Kirby, I'm not trying to... Actually, wait. Some of Kirby's hits are actually kind of slow, aren't they? You know what? I'm not very good at Smash Bros. Don't worry about it. I don't... Well, no, Kirby's fast. What am I talking about? Maybe it's just some of his Smash moves. Anyway, I don't want to lock in completely on one concept of this game, because I think that's the problem that I was already running into. But at the same time, I need to have a general guiding principle. I need a direction that I'm moving in so that I can find that purpose, that I can find that path that the game is meant to go down. I'm getting closer to that. It's actually part of the original vision that I had for the game. I want some RPG elements. I want some JRPG, turn-based RPG elements in this game. I think that would be kind of cool. And then I want it to still be a parody. But there are elements that weren't working. I was trying to lean into sort of a gambling vibe. I'm not sure exactly how to put it. As part of the parody, it's not landing for me. There's a feeling I have. I don't know how to explain this because it seems like it's just kind of BS. But there's this feeling that I have that the gambling-ish feeling of it, the slot machine feeling of a dating app is not that good for this game, or at least not for me making it. Not for my vision of it. It doesn't seem right, but maybe I should explore that too anyway, because sometimes something that doesn't seem right is right. But it's worth a little adventure. Now, let's get a little bit more broad about game development in general. I want to hit you with something a little odd. What is your feeling about game development? You know what I mean? Do you have that Zuko level mindset where you're going, I have to do this? And I'm asking you this because this is so how I used to be about music, and it's horrific. It's a terrible thing. It broke me down. I do not recommend it to anybody. Do you have that thing where you go, I have to do this? This is the only thing. I will give up anything and everything in order to do this? Because I feel like that leads to whatever you create reeking of desperation and not flowing properly. And yes, you will get a lot out of it. And maybe you will even get to the place that you need to be, which is, what happens to Zuko in Avatar. But boy, you gotta be willing to live and enjoy life and not just have everything be about game development, not have everything be about one goal. Because ultimately, games are about life. Games are about experiencing existing. Games are not about games. Art is not really about art. It is about existing. And I hate it when I see this thing that I used to do, that I know other people do, where it's like, this is all I am. This is everything. This is my entire existence. It just reminds me of Zuko every time I see it. You gotta watch Avatar: The Last Airbender, man. Every time I see it, I'm like, stop doing this to yourself. You need to exist. I'm sorry I just clipped on the mic. I'm so sorry. I got a little too enthusiastic. You need to just exist. You need to connect with reality, and then you can connect that back to creating things. Creating things should be a celebration of life, not the entire purpose of it. And can it be your purpose too? I think so. But it has to be tied in to everything else in a weird, I don't know, maybe that's too artsy, but I feel like that's very important. When I first thought about doing this episode, this redemption arc episode, I wanted to go deep talking about a bunch of stuff with my mindset and all the, like bad stuff from my past, and turning it around and becoming a more optimistic, positive person, and getting through all these struggles and horrible things and so on, and how you can turn it all around and get better and move forward and start making things and all of that stuff, right? I wanted to give you the whole spiel, the whole dramatic overshare of this is what I've been through, and whatever you're going through, you can figure it out, and so on and so on. Instead, I just want to say, meet yourself where you're at and enjoy what you can and move forward where you can, and don't get tunnel vision, Notice what's around you, and you'll be able to move forward and create beautiful, incredible things. I've only got one question for you today, and it is, why have you not watched Avatar: The Last Airbender recently? All right, that's not the real question. That's not actually what I have, although I love that show. I don't know why, but the older I get, the more I love it. I've watched it, I think, 3 or 4 times in my life, all the way through, and the latest rewatch of it was wonderful, just incredible. I ended up rewatching scenes with Iroh and talking to Zuko, like just in the middle of the night, just rewatching those scenes and like tearing up and just being so excited about it and feeling such wonderful, positive feelings about everything going on there and so much bittersweetness and so on and so on. Let's give you an actual question to get you going, get you inspired for the week, right? Actual question for the week. What do I have for you today? I think the question today is, what are you most fixated on? I know that's an odd question. And it may not even be something you're super fixated on. What are you most fixated on? You know, maybe you're like 10% fixated on it. Everything else in your life is taken up 5%, and this one thing is just a little bit heavier. Cool. But maybe you ask yourself this question, you go, oh no, that's 90% of my mental space is that. I think my usual answer to this question is self-improvement. I think typically my answer to this question is constantly trying to get better and better and better and better. But recently I went, yeah, to what end though? And then I started feeling better. I went, oh wait, I'm obsessing about self-improvement to the point of like, to what end? How about I improve on the things that really matter to me? That's another reason I came back to developing this week. I went, oh yeah, this is one of the things that I actually like that really matters to me. And weightlifting. You know, it started to click back into place. I was like, oh, I'm self-improving about all this stuff that I don't care about. It has no real impact on my life. Let's just focus on the things that matter. So what are you locked in on? You know? I wonder what it is for me now. Let's see. Is it still self-improvement? What is the biggest focus for me? What is the thing that I get most obsessed with? Could it be dating? No, not right now. That's definitely happened in the past. I wonder. It's not creating things. It might be sleep. I think it's still self-improvement. I think it is. It's just not as incredibly overwhelming as it was before. Maybe it's creating things. That's interesting. I'll have to do some more, little investigation on that one and see how I feel about it. I hope that's helpful for you. Thank you for listening to this particularly odd, kind of rambling, pseudo-philosophical. It's always weird when you talk about, why we make art or process or whatever. It can be very, and it can get kind of gross and floaty and hard to convey and so on and so on. But hopefully this episode made some sense. If you want to reach out to me, the Discord is actually a pretty good place to reach out to me. The email, I will get your email if you email me at anxiousbuddhagames@gmail.com. I'll get it. I'll read it. And I will reply probably within like a month. I don't get a lot of emails. I just take forever to reply to things on email because I'm just like, I'll get around to it eventually. It feels like I pull it up on my computer and type it out, and I have to log in on my computer. It's a whole thing. But yeah, feel free to reach out. I might get back to you within a day. Who knows? It just depends on how much energy I have. And if you get me before I go to the gym, and if I can do it while I'm resting between sets, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, hit me up. Tell me how you're liking the show. Tell me whatever it is you want to tell me. And make some stuff. And have fun doing it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, now I have to say it because I'm obsessed with this pattern. Until then, get out there, make some stuff, and have fun with it. All right. Bye-bye.